HR is sexual reproductive health rights, right? So the purpose of this is to challenge everyone here, all right? Whether you are a policymaker or you're a youth, you have one program or the other initiative that you're doing, all right? So we're here together to make it seem possible. Of course, everything you're going to do or whatever you have in mind is possible, but the purpose here is to show you health initiatives that have also started just like you want to start and do something, especially in regards with HIV/AIDS and other STIs. Thank you. So go straight up. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, let me attend to these technical issues first. Okay. All right, so I have a short story here to share first. In 2022, it's a flood. A pregnant woman went into labor with her community underwater and no access to health care. Her only option was a canoe. Local youth paddled out through the flood, and midway she delivered a baby right inside the canoe, helped entirely by them. Then it was a clear reminder that climate change is already affecting maternal health, and young people often become the first responders. This is supposed to create this thought in your mind that the issue with climate change is not a story, is not a fallacy. Already we have that across being experienced. You see a lot of events, but that is not where we're stopping. We're also looking at how it affects the sexual health, maternal health, reproductive health, and even our advocacy, especially when it comes to HIV and STIs. Yeah. Okay. So why does this topic matter? All right. Across Africa, climate change is deepening sexual and reproductive health rights. Evidence from WHO, NPF, FPA, UNICEF, IPCC shows that first, floods and displacement increase. One, transactional sex. All right. Displacement and floods, in sense, like you understand, floods, that disaster that happens when water gush, all over city, and displacement, that is when people can no longer stay in their habitation. Okay, first, increase transactional sex. Okay, and you know what that means. All right. Second is HIV vulnerability. Transactional sex can lead to scenarios where people could be raped, all right, or unwanted sexual affairs. Of course, could also predispose young adults or anyone to HIV. All right, gender-based violence, loss of contraceptive, and antenatal access. Second aspect is heat waves, okay, as a component of climate change, reduce antenatal attendance and worsen pregnancy outcomes. Drought, another issue that we have, especially when it comes to climate. Drought worsens anemia, that is when you don't have access to good food, those food rich in folic acids and iron and all of those, worsens anemia and malnutrition, especially adolescent girls and pregnant women. The fourth one says, damaged rural health facilities interrupt safety, delivery, menstrual hygiene, HIV testing, and family planning services. Like I shared in the story earlier, all right, that particular story in 2022 as regards Bayelsa flood, that is in Nigeria, all right, led to a lot of facilities being destroyed. And you saw that in the story, a lot of women died, either being pregnant, whether during a delivery, and in fact, some lost their lives as a result of improper delivery after birth. So, as young ones, all right, what are other people doing? All right, that's one thing I want to also enlighten you of today. What young people are doing across the continent. Youth groups, I won't mention any particular group particularly, but if you find out, they're all available on social media, on Google, and whatever search engine you want to use. Youth groups in Kenya deliver sanitary pads and SRHR education through drought, all right, during drought. And the second, youth group, people in Uganda run WhatsApp SRHR clinics when floods cut off access. I'm sharing this particularly to see how initiatives can actually bridge the gap. All right. The third is university groups in Nigeria integrate SRHR into community cleanup and climate campaigns. We have quite a number of times where youth will come outside there, do their very best to be frontiers when it comes to climate change advocacy. And the fourth one, which is a little bit clear if you're very concerned with social media, across West Africa, health influencers debunk myths about fertility, menstrual health, and climate-related risks. Okay, young Africans are not spectators, all right? We are solution architects. Now, standing before you, not just going to be sharing you, some examples just around the corner or just around the continent. I also want to share you my journey. All right, came up with an initiative, EU Health, officially launched December 1st, 2023. That is on the 8th day, December 1st. So we launched EU Health with a hybrid event on AIDS stigma and youth leadership. This marked the beginning of a structured, youth-led public health mission. So if you are there, in my pair, you have that initiative in mind, you can also do likewise. Now, to ensure accuracy and professionalism, I completed the WHO, UN, FPA, UNESCO endorsed certification in sexual health and human rights. This is training with this training my scientific foundation for my work in EU Health. Okay, we also delivered a national virtual program with HIV advocates, professionals, enhancing youth HIV literacy, testing culture, and stigma reduction. We continue. We also reached out to churches, particularly there's a church in school where we reached out to about 500 young people in church-based SRHR session, one of the largest youth engagements we've had physically. We debunked myth, answered anonymous questions. You needed to be there. I mean, very interesting questions, and promoted testing and safe practices. All right, so we also hosted painful intercourse, secrets and myths session. This broke the silence about sexual pain. Usually anything sexual pain, anything sexuality or sexual health being discussed among youth is considered like a taboo. Like, no, you're too young to discuss this kind of things. But we did well by breaking the silence. Now, this is a land breaking here, like a very wonderful initiative that we also did. That's about 5 or 6 months ago, all right, April to June, our 6-week national training session, that is the VLAT, that is Virtual Health Literacy and Emergency Response Training. We reached out to 415 medical students, 38 medical schools in Nigeria. And the impact of this program, just like a summary, from the program, we did a pre and post assessment of our sessions. And we realized that we were able to have an increase, all right, in the knowledge in CPR, first aid, and overall skills. 2% were improved in information mismanagement. 80% taught peers and communities. This proved that low-cost, youth-led digital training can strengthen national health capacity. And then, of course, just recently, we conducted a rural community So we conducted a rural community outreach in collaboration with the other youth-led initiatives offering free HIV testing, counseling, SRHR education. This brought essential services to underserved population. And not to skip, we also had a very wonderful session, that December 1st, the World AIDS Day. And I'm also trying to give you a break, looking at some pictures of some of the flyers of our sessions that we've had before. Yeah, so what I've shared with you today, what does it prove? It proves that youth-led SRHR works, all right? And then youth-led youth-led models can scale. Maybe it can have an increased reach, okay? Then youth multiply knowledge. That's the truth. Whatever you have today, whatever you understand today, the tendency as a youth to increase other people's understanding of it is very much there. Then digital SRHR platforms overcome climate challenges during floods, heat waves, or access disruptions. Youth strengthen health systems, all right? And then quickly, if I had the opportunity of meeting the Minister of Health in Ghana, what would I want to say, or what would I tell him? 2 things I would like to propose. A scalable continental solution, maybe I will call it the AfriHealth Climate SRHR Youth Hub because of my time. And I will also project this particular idea, which is very important. Creation of national budget lines for youth-led climate SRH campaigns. All right, it's not enough for youth programs to seek donors for their events. Also more important that it is to institutionalize um, um, their funding, all right, in their programs. So, as youth, all right, I'm talking to you today. It's an opportunity, but I want to say these few words from here. All right, so my fellow youth, start where you are. Okay, build with what you have. Collaborate, don't compete. Okay, document everything. You can say like I did. Document everything. Scale gradually. Stay inclusive. Stay courageous. All right. VLAT, that is a virtual outreach emergency response training, taught us one trained youth can train 10. Okay, 10 can transform a community can transform a nation. Now, the future will not wait. Climate change will not wait. Okay, HIV will not wait. So we, the young Africa, the young people in Africa, must not wait either. Okay, we are not leaders of just tomorrow. We are implementers of today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's give him another round of applause. Now, Emmanuel, just stay on stage. We have 2 minutes. If you have any questions for Emmanuel, now is the time, or forever hold your peace. I'm kidding. You can find him at the conference. If you have any questions for Emmanuel, wow, you must have done a pretty good job. Let's give him another round of applause. Oh, there's a question? Franca. Ah, perfect.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. All protocols observed. Permit me to sit down. I feel like sitting down this morning. So I would like to know, you mentioned collaboration instead of competition. One of the challenges we have as young people is competing unhealthily, which is wrong. So I would like you to throw more light on ways that we can collaborate as young people across Africa and across the globe as well. Thank you.
All right. First, a very good example I would like to share with you was the VLAT program I just mentioned. We reached out to 450 medical students. We wouldn't have done that without collaboration. We collaborated with the National Medical Student Association for medical students, all right? And that's what, to make that work, we had to bring what we have to bring to table, all right? So what we have to deliver to table, and then we also sort out for what they also have to offer. Okay, so we needed publicity while we had the content, we had the program, so when it comes to collaboration, like the name implies, you're meant to bring something to the table, bring yours, then we make it work together. So that way we can scale. That's the purpose of collaboration. And partnerships and sponsorships can mean other ways as well. Thank you.
Hello, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. In your presentation, you made mention of other, what do you call them? The other youths that are, you use a particular terminology.
Like youth-led initiatives?
No, not the gifted. Underprivileged. So your definition of underprivileged, I think it will be good for us to understand those. Which categories of youths are these underprivileged youths? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I can't remember particularly mentioning underprivileged, all right? But for emphasis sake, what I would say is, in definition of underprivileged, just simply maybe those are not reached enough, all right? Maybe as per particular resource or knowledge or facility or whatsoever that you're particular about, all right? Let's say, for example, in the context of our discussion today, maybe on HIV advocacy and all of those, information can be one of those things that is very important, all right? So imagine youth that are in the rural community don't have access to this information. So what you have to do in this area, all right, is to be able to bridge that gap, enter into those community, be a part of them, understand what is needed, and from there, be able to achieve your goals, literally. But as for this presentation, I'm not sure I mentioned underprivileged anyway, but yeah, so that's it.
Any other questions? Okay, let's give him a round of applause as he takes his seat. Thank you. Up on stage, we're going to have another young lady by the name Rosaline. Let's give her a round of applause as she takes the stage. We will allow her to introduce herself and why she is here and why this presentation. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, that's better. So my name is Tubelihle Rosaline Ndlovu, and I'm a young woman from Zimbabwe. I'm a student studying environmental science and health at the National University of Science and Technology, and I'm here with Sewat, one of their peer educators, and today I'm going to be presenting on the role of agroecology in HIV care and climate adaptation. So in the last ICASA, I had presented on how climate change affects our SRHR programming, particularly young women. And hence today I'm here with a solution. And I'm sure everyone is aware that funding has been cut in our SRHR initiatives. So it's time to look within, and hence I'm proposing the solution, agroecology. So why this matters? So in the sub-Saharan region, 65%, okay, we still carry the burden of HIV, which is 65%. In 2023, there was an estimated of 1.3 million new HIV cases occurring worldwide, with Africa accounting for the majority. Also, we have AIDS-related deaths, which are at 630,000 globally, but mostly, of course, it's affecting low-income settings. So from these statistics, we can see that HIV is not just a biomedical issue. It is shaped deeply in poverty, food insecurity, malnutrition, and weakened rural systems. Most African people living with HIV live in settings where agriculture and food production determines survival. Then we'll move on to defining the key concepts. You're probably wondering what agroecology is. So agroecology is basically a farming approach that integrates ecological principles, local knowledge, biodiversity, and culturally rooted practices to produce healthy food sustainably. Then we'll define HIV care as well, which is basically the support and treatment people living with HIV receive to stay healthy. It also includes testing, regular checkups, help with overall well-being. Then climate adaptation refers to the actions that help reduce vulnerability to the current and expected impacts of climate change, such as the weather extremes and other climate disasters. So I'll move on to my next slide. Okay, so we'll now look at HIV, agriculture, and vulnerability, particularly on how HIV impacts our rural African households. We have seen the loss of productive labor, the sale of assets, collapse of indigenous knowledge systems, rising number of orphans, elderly caregivers, and child-headed households. So basically, HIV pushes families into a cycle of food insecurity, weakened immunity, worsening illnesses. So breaking the cycle requires agricultural innovation tailored into vulnerable households. Next slide again. Next slide. Again. Let's see. Yeah, that's the one. So now we're going to talk about what agroecology looks like in HIV care. So I'm proposing that in community setups, we have our home gardens whereby people produce their food on their own, organic food to be specific. So we're going to also have traditional and underutilized crops, particularly in the context of, I'll give an example of the Southern African context, whereby we're currently pushing for people to produce small grains like millet, sorghum, etc., because these are our indigenous crops, not maize, right? And then also, like, we're pushing for people to actually start producing or start consuming wild food plants because they serve medicinal purposes. And also, we're encouraging people to have community seed banks so that we're able to transfer whatever indigenous seeds we have to the next generation. Then we'll look at this next slide. I'll look at the statistical reality check, particularly in Africa as of 2025. So according to the 2025 UN AIDS update, 75% of the new infections occurring among key populations are in Africa. We have women aged 15 to 24 who are 3 times more likely to acquire HIV than their male peers. We also have the issue of food insecurity increasing risk-taking behaviors such as transactional sex up to 80% in the African regions. So if we still want to end AIDS by 2030, I think we're supposed to look within, we're supposed to look at our food systems, we're supposed to produce our food organically. So I will move on to the next slide. So how agroecology prevents HIV? So we have research proving that agroecology or the consumption of organic foods actually lowers the resilience on transactional sex for food, also increasing the economic stability of communities, and also building dignity and reducing vulnerability as well. So agroecology is more of a prevention through empowerment and not policing behavior. So next slide. So my next slide here is how agroecology supports healthcare. Thank you. Okay, so like I've said, it improves nutrient intake, it enhances the effectiveness of our ARVs, it offers medicinal plants for symptom reliefs, it also provides safe pesticide-free diets, it reduces food expenditure, freeing resources for healthcare. So we all know that when people living with HIV eat well, they live longer and they fall sick less, and also they respond better to treatment. So now I will look at the paradigm shift, what the government needs to do, the donors and the NGOs, basically the stakeholders, right? So we need to recenter agricultural policy on smallholder farmers. We also need to invest in extension services. We also need to remove harmful subsidies for chemicals and also support seed sovereignty. We need to integrate agroecology and climate action into our HIV programming. We also need to recognize women as knowledge holders, as we all know that in our African communities, usually women are the bearers or the gatekeepers of our indigenous knowledge systems. So by so doing, by mainstreaming HIV into policy, basically it's not enough. We also need to mainstream food, nutrition, and agroecology into HIV response. Yeah. Then also moving on to policy recommendations. Okay, my first recommendation would be national HIV strategies should include agroecology, climate action, and food security. Clinics should prescribe nutrition plans and not just ARVs. The Ministry of Agriculture needs to collaborate with the Ministry of Health. Also, we need to fund research on organic diets and HIV outcomes, as well as financing community-led agroecology initiatives. So a treatment-only model cannot end AIDS. A treatment plus nutrition and livelihoods model can by 2030. Then a call to action to ICASA. So we must invest in local and culturally rooted food systems. We also need to restore the Africa's plant diversity. We also need to integrate agroecology into HIV care and also place the vulnerable household at the center. We also need to fund women-led agricultural innovations, and as well as recognizing nutrition as a frontline HIV intervention. So ending AIDS by 2030 requires reshaping how Africa feeds itself, starting in the very communities that are most affected. So with that being said, thank you.
Let's give a better round of applause. So to smooth things over, we're going to have our last presenter, then finish the entire session with a Q&A. So if you have questions for her, kindly just note them down. We'll run through them after the next presenter. Lastly on stage, we are going to have Benjamin. Let's give a round of applause to Benjamin.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes, I'm coordinating Yimana Benjamin from Uganda. I'm a public health laboratory scientist. And today we are going to look at lab to youth, demystifying HIV diagnostics and empowering youth-led testing advocacy. So to break it down, we need to make HIV testing easy to understand and helping young people to promote testing. So that's mainly what we are going to look at, and that's what we have been doing. So we know that HIV disproportionately affects youth, 15 to 24 in sub-Saharan Africa, and we have low testing uptake due to stigma, misinformation, and lack of awareness. We need innovative youth-centered approaches for us to end this. So we saw that laboratory education can make easy HIV diagnostics, and also peer advocacy encourages youth engagement, and combining both can bridge knowledge gaps and increase testing of HIV among the youth. We need to evaluate lab to youth initiative and also assess its impacts on knowledge, attitudes, and peer-driven HIV testing promotion. Now that's the advocacy bit that we are talking about. So we did this from 2023 to 2025, and we were in urban and peri-urban areas of Uganda. Our target was adolescents and young adults, and we also had interactive workshops and also peer-led discussions. During our meetings, we used to have hands-on demonstration of rapid HIV testing, interactive Q&A sessions on HIV diagnostics, and we had a visual and practical materials. So it was a bit lively. HIV, we had peer-led discussions on stigma and misconception, youth sharing experiences, and encouraging testing, role-playing, and scenario-based learning during our workshops. So we also had school and community outreaches, media engagement. It was an outcoming thing, and it really worked on this. We had so much good results during that. Peer mentoring and follow-up activities during the youth advocacy campaigns. We had pre- and post-intervention surveys, knowledge assessment on HIV diagnostics and testing, attitude towards testing, and peer advocacy. We could clearly see that there is a change in attitude towards testing. Focus group discussions for quantitative insights. So we conducted 12 workshops, and in those we saw 480 participants, and approximately 1,200 youth reached via peer advocacy. So it was a bit good. Knowledge, key results that we observed, we had knowledge scores. There was an improvement by 65%. Those who got knowledge on HIV testing post-intervention. We had increased understanding of HIV diagnostics, and also participants felt confident in navigating testing processes of HIV. 78% reported increased confidence in promoting HIV testing. There was reduced stigma and improved peer encouragement. That was advocacy. And we also observed positive feedback in experiential learning and peer mentorship. Some of the impacts and insights, we also, it was observed that youth-led approach is effective in engaging and also advocacy. Practical demonstration enhances understanding. We had hands-on, so people understood how HIV testing is. Peer mentorship motivates active participation. So in conclusion, we say Lab to Youth successfully integrates lab education and youth advocacy, like you saw in the previous slides. Scaling can improve early HIV detection since there is stigma cut, also misconception, and lack of information issues are addressed. It contributes to reducing transmission among youth. So there is testing, and if you are found positive, advice is given to you on next steps. Thank you so much. Like I said, I come from Uganda, and I would like to thank my employees, UNFP, for funding me to come and share this with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Please let's give him another round of applause. Do we have questions, comments for him? Questions, comments, or feedbacks, or learnings?
All right, thank you very much. I really learned a lot from the presentation. The angle I may want to ask a few questions is the angle where you mentioned that you use the social media beyond community outreaches. You had the social media outreaches. Maybe we would have seen a few clips of your insights, say Facebook, how many reach, how many followers, how many people have been able to be reached, short on X, on Instagram, a few of such will have been displayed for us. Maybe you can do a mention, then we can trace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's take all the feedback and then we'll have him respond. Any other? I thought you wanted to, you raised your hand? Okay. Any from that side? You do? Okay. The mic is coming to you. Okay, and then to the earlier speaker, do we have questions for the earlier speaker?
I said I have, but about the Rosalind presentation, because
Please go ahead.
Okay, so I really appreciate your presentation. So, and especially the approachment that you miss the ecological approachment and the HIV. So for this part, I have the question. We know when you talk about agriculture need very investment because they need the machine to do the work. So my question is, what the real challenge that you have in this program, and how in terms of the quantity, okay, how much the production did you do per years? I don't know if you understand my question. Okay, so thank you.
All right, thank you for your presentation, Rosalind. So I'm coming from the angle of, with the current news about GMO seeds, have we explored the possible benefits or disadvantages of GMO seeds being a source of a possible help to rural farmers in response to the various droughts and famine? Thank you.
Okay. I think we can start with the first speaker, please. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for the questions. I'll start with your question. I think it was around how agroecology really helps, right? And also the challenge that it's addressing. Okay, so where I come from Zimbabwe, and in the most part of the rural areas in Zimbabwe, we have people living with HIV, or people in generally in the communities struggling with nutrition. So we have seen that by introducing agroecology, they are able to produce a variety of food. They are able to access a variety of nutrients from their households, right? So the idea is behind them being able to produce their own food at household level, regardless of the climate challenges that we're facing. Because we have quite a number of case studies in Zimbabwe where people would harvest, or where people would be food secure for a year by just producing food from their backyard garden. I hope you're answered. And then now moving on to your next question. I wouldn't want to answer on behalf of the GMOs, but then my angle is we have seen how introducing the genetically modified seeds in the farming context is affecting smallholder farmers, because we are used to producing our food from indigenous seeds. So what we do is, after you harvest, you keep or you save that little seeds that you have for the next farming season, so that you don't have to buy, right? Because we believe we're coming from economies that are not fully developed. So we have people who are not able to afford to buy seeds for each and every farming season. Unlike the genetically modified seeds whereby you can't save that few seed and plant it again for the next season. So basically we're trying to cut down on economic costs. I hope that answers your question as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Mine, I think it was an addition and a good one, on including social media handles, Facebook and whatever we did on social engagement. So that's noted, and